What's up, everybody? This is Fred Ricciani of TSC News right here on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Last week's episode was not enough time to cover all the ground that was Bellator NYC, Bellator MMA's New York City debut. We're going to chat with not one, but two fighters who were victorious on that card. And of course, because it's Throwback Thursday, we're going to throw it back this time to our interview with the headliner of Bellator NYC, Chael Sonnen. But first, our interview with the son of a UFC Hall of Famer, a man who was victorious via unanimous decision over his opponent, Ryan Couture.
I knew he's a super high-level black belt under Renzo, so he was going to be dangerous on the ground. I also saw in the film I was able to find on him prior that that's really where he's comfortable. He looks a little bit like he's still getting the hang of the rest of the game, so I wanted to do my best to make it a fist fight instead of a grappling match, and I felt like that paid off tonight.
How much of a weight is it off your shoulders just to get this win, and especially doing so in New York?
It's huge. Last year was a terrible year. I was really disappointed. So I was carrying a lot of pressure on my shoulders. Kind of felt like I was fighting for my career tonight. I'm just super happy to get in there, get 15 minutes of good ring experience in, and come out unscathed and with the W.
And I know the plan is to go back to lightweight, but how'd you feel in there at welterweight? A little bit different, a little odd at all?
A little different. I definitely felt a little underpowered in there. If it had been one of the big physical athletic types of welterweights that you see in the division, some of those guys are just physically are monsters, and I know that'd be a bad look for me. I'm not the most physically imposing guy even in my own weight class, but I felt fresh. This week was great. I was able to feel sharp and energized all week, knowing I didn't have that weight cut hanging over my head. So that was definitely a boost for me. I felt better tonight because of not cutting my weight. I wanted to fight the guard. That was my opportunity to get on this card, and as soon as they announced they were coming here, I knew that was something that'd be huge for me. It would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I was willing to do whatever it took to get on this event. Yeah, I think I showed up weighing 173 on Tuesday, so. Yeah, but then there's a part of me that knows what that would do for my brain's longevity, and 155's home, and I'll get back on that grind and on that weight cut for the next one.
Had you lost, would you have called it wins?
I would have had some real thinking to do. At this stage in my career and at my age, I'm almost 35, so I don't have too many more competitive years in me physically, and to go 0-3 and potentially, I know Bellator is a little more lenient and they're very fighter friendly and understanding, and I have a good relationship with them, so it's not necessarily would have been on the chopping block, but that's always a possibility. You lose a few in a row, you get on that streak, you could be out of job, and I'm not sure if I would have had the desire to go back to the regional circuit and grind it out on smaller shows just to try and earn my way back up.
You're not trying to have a career as long as your dad does. You said you only have a couple years left.
I don't know how he did that. He's just crazy.
You've obviously had a long career yourself. How did this event compare to other events you competed on, just the magnitude, just being a pay-per-view and everything else?
It was just huge and exciting. It was fun to see all of the extra hoopla and all the marketing that went into this show. It's been so cool. I'm really excited, as much as I like talking to you guys, to get cleaned up and go enjoy the show. It was such a big event, had such a great, momentous feel to the whole week, and it's been really fun to be a part of it.
And when do you want to get back on the cage next?
Soon. I'd like to not take 1-3 months off. I'd like to stay busy and stay active, try and get some momentum going. I was on a good streak before last year happened, and I'd like to get another one going and really take a crack at working my way to that title shot.
Ryan, quick question. Your father never fought in Madison Square Garden. What does it mean for you to do something better for years? Most people thought was not possible for a fighter to fight in MSG in New York in the mixed martial arts school.
It's a huge honor. I am so thankful for all the work that people like my old man put into building this sport and lobbying and rallying to get it legalized here and lay the groundwork for something like this to happen. It's an honor to get to take advantage of all that, and even better to get to have him in my corner and here with me through the experience.
I know you're focused on the fight, but you guys have a moment. It is pretty darn cool to be at MSG. Did he say something to you after about just like you guys kind of making it the tours in some way, shape, or form fighting in this arena?
We haven't really had a chance to sit down yet and chat, but just seeing that smile on his face, seeing that fatherly pride coming out of the fight, knowing we got the win, and just excited to go celebrate. It was his birthday this week too, so it's gonna be a fun party tonight.
What's he
It's only 54.
All right, guys, couple more questions.
Thank you.
Ryan, how tight was that heel hook?
It was a knee bar, and I was able to dive out. I've actually, that's the leg lock that I most often get caught in the gym. I'll roll out of the heel hook, but not get far enough away to clear that knee, and luckily this time I got it just shallow of his cup, so I knew he didn't have enough pressure to finish me with it. So it was just a matter of continuing to wiggle and not let him adjust and get it tight.
Did you feel close for a while?
No, I was never close to making me tap. It was a little bit dangerous. I had to be cautious there and really work to get the rest of the way out. I was nearly caught, but it was never close to making me
And
tap.
knowing Chaim, did you practice that move or?
Yeah, we had. It's honestly it's tough to find a guy that's that much of a jit specialist in Vegas in our gym. These guys all focus on their wrestling, their ground and pound, never being on bottom. So it's hard to get that look in the gym. But we got a few really phenomenal grapplers on the team that were able to give me a look and get me used to that feel.
Thanks, Ryan.
As promised, let's throw it back to our interview with former UFC contender and Bellator MMA headliner, Chael Sonnen. A lot of people are comparing Conor McGregor to you with this trash talk, with this bravado, taking a Brazilian world champion who previously wasn't a draw and might actually become a draw in this upcoming fight in the summer. Do you think the Conor McGregor-Chael Sonnen comparison is fair?
I think that Connor and I both had a lot of fun. I think that we embraced it very well, and I think the comparison is flattering. I find him to be much more entertaining than I found my own stuff. He's very prepared. He's very professional. There's never a time they put a camera on him when he's not ready, and that requires a massive amount of work and preparation. And he's performed every single time. I can't say enough good things about the way he's handling his brand and marketing himself and helping the entire industry, particularly that weight class. That weight class has been a snoozer from the beginning. Jose Aldo is the best fighter in the UFC right now. In fact, he's even got the ranking. They've elevated him in the pound-for-pound rankings to number one. And there's nobody disputing that. That's how good he is. He's also the worst drawing champion of all time. And that's about to change. His fight with Conor is going to be the biggest one of the year, number-wise. And the trickle-down effect that he'll feel for the rest of his career, it's going to change after this night. And it's not changing because of him. It's changing because of Conor. So, that weight class really owes him a thank you equal to the one that the women's division owes Ronda Rousey.
You're no stranger to bouncing back from controversy. Got on your feet after that suspension, doing the thing with ESPN, successful with podcasting. You mentioned earlier you think John Jones not going to win everything goes well for him. He'll bounce back. Your former rival Anderson Silva, obviously he's in some trouble right now. Do you think his legacy is permanently damaged, or do you think he too can make a comeback?
Well, it's for sure damaged. Let's compare it to grades in school. If he was an A+ before, he's an A- now, but he's still an A. Anderson is still great. Did it damage it? Yeah, sure it did. Yeah, it's a dent in the bumper, and he's got a hearing coming up, and he's going to have an opportunity to say his piece. I can tell you, as one of his rivals and former competitors, I give him a pass. The guy had his leg snapped in two, and if he had to turn to the free market or the black market and able to repair his leg and allow him to have a good and healthy life, let's forget about sport for a minute. He needs to repair his leg so that he can go on in life and be comfortable and be as normal as possible, then good for him. I do resent a little bit that he doesn't just tell us what he did. I think science and medicine would be very curious. How exactly did you cure that leg in record time and return to form so quickly? I think it's almost a medical miracle, and some other people could benefit from it if he would just come out and tell us, exactly what he did. I think that's how this should be looked at. It's really quite a neat thing that he was able to find something that cured him and repaired him, and And I think that the doctors that gave it to him should be praised as opposed to being put down. Now, when you bring sport back into the fold, that's where the problems come in. That, now you're talking about some rule violations and being out of compliance, and he's going to have to deal with that. But if we take sport out of it, what happened there is as close to a miracle as I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years.
So do you think athletic commissions should be trying to work more with different labs and the people that are creating these drugs that are considered PEDs as opposed to going against them? Because perhaps there's some that could be legal that wouldn't be as detrimental to some fighters that say other steroids, maybe more traditional ones?
Well, the pens aren't illegal. That's greatly misunderstood, and we've done a bad job in the media of making people believe that. Performance enhancing, those are positive terms. Those are a good thing. And every medicine in America is a performance enhancer. If it de-enhanced you, that would be what we would consider malpractice. It has to make you better. A doctor can't give it to you. So, and there's also a belief that you can't take performance enhancers. There's a number of performance enhancers you can, but they have a banned list. And that banned list is very sensitive. It's very hard to understand. It's very hard to even track down the list. I'm a fighter. I'm serving a suspension for violating that list. And in my life, I've never seen the list. I've never been handed one. I don't even know where to get it. I don't know if you've got one. If you do, I hope you send it to me when the show's over, and I'll quit making this statement. But I've never seen the list, and I don't know what's on it. Now, you said something else in your question. You said the word steroids. Look, if we're talking about steroids, no, you got to ban that stuff. And I grew up believing that. When I grew up, that's all that was banned. The only talk we had was don't take steroids. Over time, we've changed that to performance enhancer. Well, that's not fair. First off, because it's not true. Performance enhancers are allowed. It's just you have to make sure it's the right ones. And secondly, that's just way too broad a spectrum. We don't want to tell people that they have to choose between their health and their sport. We just want to make sure they're compliant with their sport. So if we can make those rules a little bit clearer, I think we can all agree right now, throw out steroids completely, throw out illegal drugs. The problem is, and we did learn this when John Jones went through it, there are some illegal drugs, including cocaine, that isn't against sport. Now, that's a little bit confusing, but that's what we all learned together. If you would have asked me 5 months ago if cocaine was allowed for sport, I'd have laughed and told you, of course not. Well, it turns out I'm wrong. I guess it is. I don't know what's on those damn lists. That's what's so hard about it. I don't think you know or any of the listeners know. It's a very complicated list. So if we all want to just say ban steroids, I don't think there'd be any discussion here. We can all agree with that. But the rest of it, man, it can get very confusing. It can be very hard to follow the list.
So do you think with the UFC's drug policy that they're going to be instituting, I mean, do you think right now it's going to be more harm than good, and over time it's going to get better as I guess the UFC and the Athletic Commission learns more about PEDs?
I really don't know. I can tell you the Olympic standard seems to be the most respected standard out there. Here's the good news: when you follow the Olympic standard, that list is very archaic and it's very absurd. Some of the things that are on the list that they will ban an amateur athlete for. By example, if you have 2 cups of coffee in a 15-minute period, your caffeine levels will exceed their allowable limit. They will ban you from Olympic sport. They will take your medals away. I don't think that that's right. At least as an American, yes, caffeine is a drug, and yes, it is a performance-enhancing drug. It's why we drink it in the morning, to get our day going and help our performance. But in America, we just don't care, but we'll give caffeine to children in America. This is a world list, and other countries don't agree with us. They believe that caffeine is a drug, and they're right, it is. And so when you go off of a world list, now all of a sudden caffeine falls on it. I could play this example 100 more times with something as silly as caffeine, and you might even roll your eyes and go, Chael, that's not what we're talking about. Well, yeah, we are. If you follow the Olympic list, it's black and white. If you have it in your system, you're out. There is no hearing. There is no discussion. There is no explanation. It's pass or fail. And caffeine would be treated the same as an anabolic steroid. disagree with that. I can tell you in crime in America, if I jaywalk or if I rob a bank, the punishments are greatly different because the crimes are greatly different, even though they're both illegal. In the world of drug failure, as it pertains to sport, all crimes are created the same. A caffeine level that's above the limit is the same as an anabolic steroid. And I think that that's a problem. And I think it's mainly, look, if you don't want us to have coffee, okay, fine. But I don't think anyone knows that until I just said it right now. I think everybody else is going, wait a minute, you got to be kidding me. So when you end up in that jam, I will feel bad for the guys. You know, there's a lot of things you can get over the counter. Anderson's not just in a jam over the steroid. He's in a jam over two different types of allergy medicine. One of which is Benadryl. Benadryl sits on the shelf of every store in America, including our convenience stores, 7-Elevens, things like that, right next to the NyQuil. It just kind of helps you get a night's sleep. And, man, that just shouldn't be on the ban list. That's absurd, but it is. And if you followed an Olympic standard, he'd be done for 2 years. And I think that's very silly, and I don't think the Olympic test should be as respected as it is. I think the reality is, if overseas amateurs that have no money or ability to defend themselves. So the list has never been challenged, which is what adds to its credibility. But if you look a little further into it, it's never been challenged because it's never regulated anybody that had an ability to challenge it. So that's really, you don't see that in our other professional sports in America, be it baseball, basketball, or football, because they have unions that step in and say, look, we're fine with you testing the guys, but you're going to have to explain yourself. Why are you testing a guy for Benadryl? We don't agree to this. And there's no dialogue like that in our sport. It's government agencies that test, and there's no buffer. In the other sports I mentioned, it would be a union. There's no buffer between the government, the testers, and the leadership itself. So it can be a little bit tough, and yes, there are guys that are going to fail this test once it gets implemented, and people are going to see the problems with it. But until then, it's still the rules, and they have to be followed.
We took some fan questions. You ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, this one from Ben Ostner. Chael, are you interested in having one more match?
In MMA, I am done. I will not do MMA again.
What about pro wrestling?
A pro wrestling match? I've always wanted to do that. I could be talked to that. I don't know how to wrestle. I'm not a trained wrestler, so I don't think that that's very likely. But that could be fun.
Scott Anderson asks, what are the biggest challenges you've had going from the cage to broadcasting, either in podcasting or being a TV analyst?
Well, there's a learning curve. I can tell you, as a viewer, I watch a guy on television, whether he's reporting the news or is reporting on sports, and it looks pretty easy. When I finally got put in my suit and sat behind the desk, I found out it's not easy. There's a lot of moving parts, getting in out of commercial break, tossing over to your television partner, listening to your IFD for directions from the producer in the back. There's a lot of moving parts. It's not as simple as I thought it was when I initially agreed to do it.
Okay. George asks, based on your tweet about Pizza Hut, is it safe to say you will never order from there?
Yeah, man, I was really disappointed, and I couldn't have been any hungrier when I made the order. I had competed that day. On days of competition, I don't eat the whole day. I go into the match, no matter how late it is, on an empty stomach. And in this case, the match was at 7 p.m., and when I ordered the pizza, it was almost 10 p.m., so I was very hungry, and I was very excited when it arrived, and they burned me.
Man. Okay, now, if I understand this correctly, you were with Jake Ellenberger and Fern O'Brien, who's also been a guest on this show, and your pizza didn't get any sauce. One guy's didn't get any cheese. There was some other mishap, right?
Yeah, that's right. We had 3 pizzas. One came with no sauce, one came with no toppings, and one came with no cheese. We thought it was a joke. We're like, this has to be a joke. It was basically just dough and crust. And this is a silly thing to complain about. I'm not trying to make too big of a deal about it, but you brought it up, or George brought it up at least. So Yeah, man, it was a terrible pizza. There's nothing else I can say about it. It was absolutely terrible.
Okay, Alan Wu. This is a bit of a personal question from Alan Wu. How is the married life treating you, and I guess the dad life?
Well, tell Alan I appreciate that question. And it's awesome, man. It's awesome, but I am convinced you gotta find the right person. And I took my time. I didn't get married right away, so I'm one of the lucky guys that was able to find the right person. So it's easy for me to say that it's a lot of fun. Not all marriages go that way, but I got lucky.
This week's TSC Gaming special feature profiles an indie game that's getting a ton of rave reviews, and rightfully so. Midgar Studios' Hover, Revolt of Gamers, available on PS4, Xbox One, and PC through Steam. This game right here is an action-adventure game that combines a bit of racing, a lot of parkour, colorful elements, all in an awesome single or multiplayer open world that is super colorful, super vibrant, and a whole lot of fun. If you've played Jet Set Radio back in the day and you loved it, you may be feeling this game. A little bit of everything in this game right here, and the cool thing about it is that you can play it the way you want to play it. Yeah, you could do races. Yeah, you could do various missions, but you can also edit those missions as well. You can literally play this parkour game the way you want to play it. The point of this game, if you want to play it straight up, is joining the rebellion, recruiting people in this open world, and taking down the tyrannical government that is inhabiting it. I like this game very much, but I like the developer's story even more. These guys worked their butts off to put out this game. It was crowdfunded through Kickstarter, and at first, they had a goal of $38,000. Several years later, they had $116,398 and were able to put out this game. So congratulations to Midgar Studio. We're having a lot of fun playing this so far. If you want to try out this game, check it out on Xbox One. Check it out on PS4. Buy it on Steam. Until then, please check out TSC Gaming, youtube.com/TSC Gaming, and click that subscribe button.
Brad, congrats on the win. Could that have gone any better for you getting the first round knockout at Madison Square Garden?
Oh man, I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes, but I'm very happy with my performance.
That's great. I know you had some issues cutting weight coming into this one, but how nice is it to get that off your back and just get this win?
It's great. You know, I really think that we need to get rid of those day before weigh-ins, and you know, we're all fighting at the same rates anyway. Just get rid of weigh-ins totally.
What was the issue for you? Was it just the fact that it was an early weigh-in?
A little bit. I had to do some things before for the veterans for the vow, so I didn't have enough time the day before. So like, I was still sweating really good. Weight was coming off, but we just ran out of time. Like I literally ran out of time.
So for you, there would be no weigh-ins. You just fight it, show up and fight.
No, there would be weigh-ins, but I'm all about what they had proposed, what California's doing. I think it's every 10 pounds, and you can't put on a certain amount of weight the next day. Okay, everybody's gonna fight the same people. You just won't have to go through that. Everybody trying to cut weight to not be at an advantage, but not be at a disadvantage. You know, that's why everybody's cutting weight.
Did you feel like you were gonna get the knockout that early? Was that part of the game plan?
Yeah, I'm usually a slow starter. Second round is usually my money round, and you know, my camp and I have been working on starting fast, getting a better warm-up in, and making that first round in the cage like the second round. So I knew I was gonna get the knockout. It was be quick but don't rush. You know, so I took my time, you know, see what he was offering, and then when I saw him open air, I just went for it.
And getting a quick win like that, when do you want to get back in the cage? I imagine pretty soon.
I'll get it back in the cage in 15 minutes. You know, get some water and I'm ready to go.
Yeah. How about celebrating tonight? Any plans for a post-fight celebration?
Oh yeah, the whole city came out, so we're gonna go and have a good time. You know, so I'm very happy and I'm very thankful that Bellator let me fight at the Garden.
Now, are you going to find a good meal first and then go to the party, or are you going to go to the party now?
I'm gonna smoke a cigar now, and then maybe eat a burger with some bacon. I'm gonna be ready to go.
And just talk a bit about the support. You know, having you know, the military and everything else just sort of behind you in this fight. I mean, what's that like? You know, going into a fight like this?
Oh, it's great. There's no better brotherhood than the Marines, and it's great. It's like when I was meeting Marines and I never knew it, it felt like we've known each other forever. It's just I can't explain the bond. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
I know you've been on the regional scene a long time, TSC, you bring the combat, now you're here at the big moment. How hard is it for you to be on this moment, not knowing, if you're going to continue to stay up here at this level?
Well, I think I got the skill set to stay here, and I'm excited. So I hope they'd like to bring me back because I'd love to keep fighting the Bellator.
Have you spoke to Rich or to Scott?
No, not yet.
I'm guessing you're going to make a big push to get them.
Oh, absolutely. I hope my performance is enough speaking for me, and all I have to ask is when you need me.
Congrats, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How much pressure do you feel coming into this fight?
None at all.
Any jitters?
No,
Being as
not
your debut?
It's funny because I don't feel you can have two overwhelming, emotions at once, and the excitement was so overwhelming that I didn't even feel nervous. I didn't have any space to feel nervous.
You say you're a slow starter, but you think his aggression is what caused you to get the knockout early?
I'm not sure. I have to be honest. I do feel that I did start faster. If you go back and watch some of my other fights, I kind of wait. I gotta let him hit me first. But I just decided that I'm done starting slow. I'm gonna start fast, and that's it. I'm just gonna start fast.
So this is a new you, pretty much?
It's the same me. It's just I'm just
A little more aggressive.
Yeah, it's just with more experience, I make more adjustments, and I really feel I'm coming into my own as a fighter now. I know what works for me, and just stick to it. I have great coaches, so I'm very happy.
Do you think that, as an opponent for a local fighter, do you think that gives somebody a psychological edge?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever fought at home. New York, MMA was illegal in New York for so long that I've never fought in New York. I haven't even fought close to New York. So it just felt, it was amazing. It's because even the people that didn't come out, when they hear you from New York, they're in New York, so they get behind you. So it's really great.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of TSC News. Same time, same place, Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on MNN2. Next day on demand on youtube.com/thesportscourier. Please click that subscribe button. Until next time, as always, enjoy the fights.